Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Brenda Farkas from Faith Christian Church.
Pastor Matthew J. Farkas from Faith Christian Church. We believe the Word of God is relevant today.
If we say that the Bible is God talking to us, is it still relevant today?
So we're here to answer questions concerning that.
The name of the show is Say What?
Say what?
Hello, welcome to Say What with Brenda and Becky today. So we are doing an interview with Becky, and we titled it Celebrating Recovery. And we've been here before, Becky.
Yes.
And we titled it the same thing before. And we're still doing it.
It's true.
So we looked it up. April 7th, 2017. Becky was on the show with Pastor and I. And we talked about some of the things that we'll probably talk about today. But fast forward 2020, and we're finding out that recovery is just not something that's instant. That's why it's called recovery.
Oh, that's
I
smart.
know.
That's tricky.
And so we're just going to start out talking about some things because the show is titled Say What? Because we talk about, does God have something to say? And if so, it's in His Word. We say, well, it's in His words. The Bible is God speaking to us, but so many people don't know what He's talking about, or they're not listening.
Or they don't understand what he's speaking.
Yeah.
I think that takes time.
Yeah. So I've got all kinds of props and all kinds of ideas, so we'll see where we go. First thing, this is her take-home gift. It says believe. When a believing person prays, great things happen, James 5:16. And I think you would agree that you have found that a vital part of your recovery has been prayer. And surrounding yourself with people, you say my people, but I mean people
My
that
church people.
support you, because we talked about that on that show actually before that, because there's some programs that you were in, and then we were trying to do a program through the church called Celebrate Recovery, kind of like a 12-step program. And in that, it just advocates that you need to be around people. You have to have a support. And I remember you talking about that, because first of all, if you're recovering, you need to want to.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to do work.
You need to want to, but I tell everybody, my mother used to tell me that I have to do it for myself, and you do. And I always stop people right here because where I was at, I was so down at the bottom that I couldn't want it for myself. People that had to want it for me until I could get to it myself.
And so it was a process.
And it comes in other people's prayers. It is huge because there was times I couldn't pray for myself. Other people prayed for me. Yeah. And I think that made the difference.
Yeah, so like this time was totally different for you.
It was.
I remember because you'd hit bottom again.
A different bottom. It wasn't. I always thought I'd have to be dead to hit that bottom, and I was on death's door. And I don't know if that's what did it or not, but it is different this time. It's absolutely different. God's walked me through it more.
Mm-hmm. And when we noticed, I'm trying to think how, because we met you came to church, right? That's how we met you?
Mm-hmm.
You came to church, and then you came and brought your pastors from Burlington.
Yeah, I brought them down to introduce you guys to a little bit of the Celebrate Recovery program that they do up there. That originally is what helped me because they came inside the jail and worked with people. And so that's where it started to get better. That's where I resorted back to finding God when I was ready. When all those things that I learned while I was in there made sense and came together.
So those things were deposits inside of you.
Right.
And even when situations came that kind of took you backwards, those deposits were still inside of you, and they still spoke to you.
And with other people's prayer and help and all that, it made the difference.
Yep.
I always tell people that I didn't think I would ever get it. I never thought I would recover. I never thought it would happen for me. I mean, I've seen it happen for a few people, but I thought it really doesn't happen. It's just crazy. It doesn't happen for anybody. And it did. And the only difference, I tell people, the only difference is God. I'm incorporating God as first and foremost in my life, and that's what's changed everything for me. That's why I'm able to stay clean now.
Yeah. So one of the things I told you I was happy about, because you had a jacket on earlier, but you have a new tattoo.
Couple of them.
Well, yeah, but this is the one that I'm interested in because it covers up something.
Okay, so
tell
this
me
tattoo was, when I was using, I used to use intravenously, and I had 4 surgeries there because I hurt myself with it, and I had a scar there. It was a really bad scar, and a friend of mine put a cross tattoo over the scar, so now they don't see that first thing. Before, when I introduced myself to people, first thing they saw was that scar, and they knew right there where I was coming from, and I was already judged and everything else. And now it kind of puts me back on the playing field of being even with everybody else, and that's the first thing they see about me is that I'm an addict.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that because there's a song that says, "I'm thankful for the scars."
Yeah.
You know, because if we can sometimes we have to embrace the bad things that have happened in such a way, because we've moved forward. But I like never forgetting where I came from.
Never.
And
I remind myself a lot of how there's times where I think of going back. I get bad days, and I remember sitting on the side of the road crying. I had a fight with a family member. I was sitting on the side of the road crying, and I thought to myself, do I go back? Do I go back to that world? And I was so in that world, it would be signing my death warrant. I wouldn't come back. I know I wouldn't come back. So I think it makes a difference to remember how bad it got at times.
But recovery.
But that I'm not there anymore.
Yeah, but recovering wasn't easy because when you were at Brattleboro Retreat, it was awful how all that had to come out of you. I mean, sometimes like when you go to take a treatment, even for like a disease, like even like cancer or something, it's like the treatments are so awful that people say, I don't even know if I want to do the treatment. It's so awful.
Right.
What's my alternative? And for you, just to get that poison out of you was horrific. The process that you had to go through.
Yeah, well, the stages are, and I think if you make it past the first couple stages, then you can do it. And the pastor had said something about at a sermon one time about how everything comes together in the right time. It's not, if I started recovering and God slammed all that stuff at me at once, I would not be able to get through it. It's hard because as the addict, we want it now. But this is something you can't have like that. You have to work the process. You have to do the steps. And it's not like an official steps, but God will show you what you need to know in the right times. And I'm still got a lot I don't know, and I'm okay with that now. I'm okay being where I am.
Because the last time we were here, we had talked, Pastor and I talked, and he said, when we were launching that program, Celebrate Recovery in the church a little bit, and he's like, I know she wants to do it, but he said,
I wasn't there,
it's too soon.
Yeah,
He's
it was way too soon.
And he was so afraid that it was
We'll get back there, though.
I know, he was so afraid that it was going to crash and burn, and he was like, oh, man.
Yeah, and it did, but
it did in a way, but it's like, it's still part of the process.
Right,
you know?
right. But I'm in a different place, so when we do approach it again, I don't think there'll be an issue, and I'll be pulling some strings to have some friends come to support it. I know a lot of people, I think it's a great program. I mean, just the fact that they go inside the jails and help. And I hope someday that we'll be able to do something like that inside. Because that's really when you're down now, that's really it's the best place to get people, I guess, to show them that there's a better way. I used to say that
the parts that I like about being a pastor, the parts some people don't like, I like the hospital visits, the funerals, and all, because I've got a captive audience. Nobody's going to go away while I'm talking.
That's true.
But it's interesting because everybody's journey is different, and everybody's walk with God is different, and you can't.
And I've had to remind myself of that many times because there's been friends that I've tried to help that I had to remind myself they're not there yet. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all I do is pray that they'll get there.
Yeah.
Before they die, really. In that world, it's life or death. So.
In this last time with you, when we were in some of your desperate times with you this last time. I just felt like it was different because you wanted it. You wanted it really bad on the inside. You'd had some kind of touch with God in your privacy, like private time. And you said, no, I've had a God moment,
I did. I did, and that's what changed everything. If I hadn't had that, I would not be here right now. I got on my knees at the Brattleboro Retreat. And I said, if you don't want me to be a junkie, then take it from me. And I woke up the next day and I didn't want to use. And that has not happened in 27 years. So I've been at it 27 years. That's not happened ever. So it was me handing over all of it to God, and what a relief it was, because then I no longer had to deal with it. And it was just gone. I was able to walk like a normal person and deal with other issues and have to worry about just the addiction part. I just dealing on life's like terms, you know. It changed.
Because there was some things that happened in your life since then that you actually feared. One was, you know, you were really close to your granddad, and you knew that he was very sick, and you were like, we had actually talked about a plan where you would have gone away to a Christian recovery place for like 2 years, very structured, very intense. You would have missed the time with your grandpa.
I was ready to do that, but yes, it was I think I was more our will than it was God's. I think God's will was for me to stay here and to deal with what I was dealing with my grandfather. I always said that when one of my grandparents goes, that'll be it. I'll be back using, and it was like giving myself permission to have a relapse. But working through it, knowing that he was going to pass, and we had time to work through it with the right people, do the right things, I was able to do it without going back into the Brattleboro retreat and being a mental patient.
No?
Not that I'm above that. I like the Brattleboro retreat. They've helped save my life, along with a lot of other people. But the Brattleboro retreat does what they, you know, they're there to help, and they do, if you're ready for it. So, I mean, I went to the Brattleboro retreat 18 times. They counted last time I was there was 18. So you never know how many times it's going to take before you get it. You would hope not 18 times, but if that's what it took for me to get it, that's what it took.
But they were there to
every time, and they never judged me. They were never mean. I did go to the Tyler too at one point, and it was hard up there. I had an issue with some of the staff up there, but the staff, I went to Tyler 1 staff 18 times. They were used to me. So they do help. I think it's a struggle when we get caught up in the stupid stuff. The whole point is just to get better.
So it is possible.
It is possible. If you would ask me a year and a half ago, I'd said no. I said it's not possible, but it is. It absolutely is. And I live today happy, joyful, grateful, every day. I just got 3 crosses tattooed on my back, and I got underneath it was 1 Peter 5:7, which is to cast your cares. And I've been living like that, just casting all my cares on God. I don't worry about stuff. I don't let worry bring me down. I stress, all that stuff. If something starts to bother me, I say, all right, Lord, you take that. I learned from just handing it over in the Brattleboro retreat to say, here, you take it, and you took it. And I've had to do the work. Meanwhile, I had hepatitis C from my using. I am now free and clear of hep C. I actually pretty picture of health. And that wasn't, I didn't think that would be possible.
When I picked you up at Bradford that time, you had a whole list of things.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my goodness, I don't know how. And I am so amazed because
I started with 12 urgent medical things need to be done to save my life. And within 3 months, I had those 12 things done. Yeah. And it was possible. But at times, if it wasn't for you guys' support and carrying through that there was times I thought I was getting ready to give up. You know I was right? What is going on right now? It's really hard when you do so much damage to your body using, especially 27 years of using, and then you try to get right, but your body is not with you there. You have to do the work to get healthy, because the worst thing you want to do is to be clean and sober and not be healthy. That's really defeating.
Right.
Always.
So when we teach that your spirit, soul, and body. So we teach the spirit is the innermost part, the soul being your mind, your will, and your emotions, and your physical body being your physical body. So pretty much when you've messed up, you're messed up in all 3 places.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, we always advocate that you go in from the inside and then let it work out. You know?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see how that happened.
When you try to fix up some of the outside stuff and some of the stuff of your soul that weighs heavy, and you try to do it I don't know how to say it the way
when you're not in the right place, frame of
yeah,
mind.
yeah, it's just too much.
Right, it
It's
is.
just too
And
much.
that's where I got overwhelmed a few times, but you guys reined it back in. Or there was times that I couldn't call my doctors. You had to call them because I couldn't deal with the mental headache.
That's my point. You had a lot of stuff going on. You had physical stuff going on because you had the Hep C and some other things that were going on physically. And some things that we weren't even sure because your body was just like, once you took the drugs out of your body was like screaming, I'm not well, I'm not well.
Yeah, my body was shutting down when I was up at Valley Vista, and they actually had to put me back on Suboxone in order to get me out of, I hurt my body doing 27 years of damage. So my body was fighting back, going, I don't know where that drug is, but give it to me. And so I did have to go back on the Suboxone. It was a better choice than methadone's hard to, it's hard on your body, and I think it's easier to use when you're using methadone, or on methadone, when doctors prescribe it. My doctor prescribes me Suboxone, I take it, I'm actually getting towards the end of wanting to do that even. I want to be off that. But that's a process too.
Right.
I do it the right way now, because before I used to think, well, I could just stop everything. I got this. Well, that's my bipolar talking, is I got this. So I don't got this, and I got to take small steps.
Yep. And so then you were dealing with your physical body being
Mental,
damaged.
yeah.
You had mental things going on.
Yeah.
And you used to say to me, but you don't understand. You said, when I had something screaming in my mind or my body, I would just put drugs in and I'd be numb.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't matter.
It was shut down.
Yeah.
I didn't, and honestly, one of my hard parts right now is feelings. I was telling my doctor's office, it's like starting out as a baby, because I don't even know what feelings are. 27 years of numbing your feelings, and anger, sadness, fear, all those different things come at you, and you're like, what is this? Where's my drug to shut this thing up?
Yeah.
And you can't. You got to deal with them. And I've decided, I could sit and have a few good cries, whatever, because if you don't change everything, then you go back into that. So I have to work on, now that I'm healthier, it's more the mental stuff now.
Yeah.
Now I have to work on that kind of battle.
And you've got I was gonna say you've got I don't know, it's just been like a little bit at a time instead of letting it, and it's like 1 year. What is it, March something?
March 8th.
March 8th.
March 8th, I know, exciting.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And even then, I didn't have little faith. I didn't think a year later I'd be sitting here sober and having my life. I have my life together now. It's back together. I'm lucky to have a wonderful family that loves me and supports me, wonderful pastors. And I'm from this town, so I actually have a lot of good support people here. I just hope that maybe somebody can see that, if they can see how, this town knows how bad I was. So if they can see that I can sit here healthy today in front of them, that they can do that too.
Because that's one of the questions I was going to ask you, because you've got an audience. And you probably know your audience.
I do. Hi, guys.
You grew up with these people, So what would you speak to your audience? And you just pretty much said it, but what else would you say?
Don't give up. Don't give up on your family member that's doing it. And, so you don't want to go as far as enabling. My family didn't enable. And we had a mutual respect with that. But don't give up on your family member that's going through it. There is hope. And a year ago, I said, no, there's not. Everybody's going to die from this. Like, the world's going to come to it. It's addiction's taking over. But there is hope.
Because it is a big issue in our communities right around us. And it's a big
And that's
concern.
hard. Even a year later, I have to separate myself from those people and those times. There's times that I'll say, can you guys help? Because I know that I could get dragged back down into it that easily. So a year later of recovery, I'm still not even close to being there. Not even close. It is forever. Every day of my life, I will have to fight this addiction. But it gets easier to fight it.
Yeah.
It does. I hope people don't give. People should have gave up on me. They should have 27 years of going back, and they didn't. And so it's possible.
I remember when your granddaughter was born, and you weren't in a totally good spot at that point, and I was like, why in the world doesn't she want to embrace her granddaughter? Why doesn't she want to hold her? And I was so wanting you to have some changes and to have some joy and to have
She's my
something
best
to
friend
live
now.
for. And I was like, if she would just hold that baby,
I know,
I'm
she's
pretty
my best
sure.
friend now. I love my baby girl
But
now.
you told me, and see, I couldn't think like you were thinking, like you just didn't want to.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to get attached to her if I didn't know that I
Would
was
be in her
able.
life,
Right, right. I felt like it would hurt her more in going in and out, and my son was just strong with it, which he should. And neither one of us. I knew I was not in the place to be around her. Now I spend a lot of time with her, and she keeps me.
I mean, that's another one of those cool
running.
things that happened. You know, that you were able to.
I think that was one of the things that hurt the worst. The things that hurt the worst were the hardest to deal with, and I just shut out. I had little hope that I was ever. When I got on my knees and said, "Lord, you take it," and it was gone. I didn't know it was gone the next day. It took weeks. I actually left the Brattleboro retreat to go get high with somebody in a hotel room. And I called my mother at 7 a.m. and said, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want these drugs. Like, I'm so confused. What's happening here right now? And she came and got me down in Brattleboro at 7 a.m. I didn't use those drugs. That's never happened. That never happened to me. So I'm going, what's going on? Why am I feeling like this? Why don't I? And I made her bring me back to the retreat. And I went back in and got more help because something had changed. I wasn't there anymore. I wanted different for my life after that. I just didn't know it. Changes.
So one of the first things I did was I had given you this one journal, and I was just laughing because I gave it to you and I took it back because I wanted to put stuff in it. And so, but it's Jeremiah 29:11, and it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." And I bought this at Family Dollar. And I got,
That's Family Dollar.
That is Becky. So I give it to you, I think when you came out of Brattleboro retreat, maybe, I'm not sure.
One of the 18 times.
Yeah, so I started to write in it, and then I thought, oh wait, I want to take it back, and I want to give it to you. And I think again with me, I was like, oh man, I just wanted to be all fixed, and I was like, and I had to hold back on some of this stuff because I was like so excited. But it says the one thing I wrote in it, and I just want you to comment on some of it.
A year later, I'm still doing this, just so people know. I didn't think this would ever happen.
So I said, who are you, Becky? And I used to always say this to you sometimes on the phone. You are the daughter, the highly favored daughter of the Most High God. Because it's how do I view myself? And how do I care? Sometimes you don't care what people think about you because you just got way past that because they're judging you or they're just disappointed.
Yeah.
And
even now, I don't really care what people think. But
it's important.
But God, I do.
It's important though how you view yourself.
Absolutely.
You know?
I actually like myself this day and age, and I never have.
So we wrote, I am of God, 1 John 4:4. I'm a child of God. I have overcome, and you fill in the blank, because greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Because these are things that we say, this show is called Say What, because it's God speaking. Well, these are actually verses. But in the King James version of thee, thou, and thine, and all that, you just don't think God talks, So the next page, I said, the greater one lives in me. I can do all things through Christ, the anointing of God who lives in me. And nothing can separate me from the love of God. Those are verses in the Bible. I mean, it's so awesome to know that no matter where I go, no matter what I do, no matter what hits me in the face, it can't separate me.
It's still
from the love of God.
Still hard for me to register with a lot of that stuff. It does feel good to know that once I really sunk in that Jesus loves me, at that point I realized I didn't care what anybody else thought.
Yeah.
I no longer cared what people in town thought or what my family thought or what anybody thought because Jesus loves me. That's all that matters.
Yep.
And that changed a lot of stuff for me.
Yeah, because that's one thing we found out. It goes with the subject of love and it goes with the subject of forgiveness. When you know that you are deeply loved of God, no matter what, you can start to love yourself.
Absolutely.
But you're not able to really reach out and love other people until you love yourself. And you can't love yourself till you know that you are loved.
Right.
So it's like a three-part thing. And the same thing goes with forgiveness.
I think I was a child the last time I really felt inner love. That I was okay.
Yeah.
I must have been like 7 or 8 years old. So to feel that way now, again, I think that's one of the hugest things is to love yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you can't, God does, and that's what makes you. That's what made me love myself. Was if He loves me, then who am I to not love me?
Right. That's good. Yeah.
Right.
And I used to think about this too, because when we called it Satan or the devil the enemy, but I was like, when he used to harass me sometimes, one day I just got up and I thought about, you know what? You can't do this to me. You can't afford me.
Oh yeah. Oh, it makes me mad now. I'm like, who are you, devil? Who are you?
Yeah, God paid for me.
That's right, absolutely. The thing is, though, I don't have any history with the Bible. I when I started this, it was just saving my life just to get right. Yeah. And I'm now, through all the stages, a year later, just starting to read the Word. Yeah. Just started. I just started with Psalms today. I read a little bit. I have a hard time understanding it, but I'm understanding it more than I did. So it really, the timing is such a huge thing, and it's so hard for people to be patient and wait for it. I know, because I'm like, I want it to out right now. Yeah. But you can't. It really means it needs to be in time frames. Yeah.
And so the expectation, I think where we fail each other in is expectations. Sometimes we put too high of an expectation on another person or even on ourselves. Yeah. And then we're so easily disappointed. Yeah. And sometimes it's so much, it can be devastating. So if we can just kind of figure out those expectations, and then, so it starts with yourself, you know?
I'm so sorry. I turned that off. Why did you do that? I'm so sorry.
Since you mentioned Psalms, here's one of my favorites. Psalms 138:8. The Lord will perfect that which concerns me. Your mercy, O Lord, endures forever. And it says, don't forsake the works of your own hands. So if I'm the work of God's hands and I'm one of his prize creations, then I need to believe that he's going to perfect the things that happen around me.
A lot of it is handing it over to just letting
that's what
him.
You're saying.
Yes, handing it over, because trying to fix it myself was a mess, and I wasn't getting very far. Yeah.
And then another one was Psalms 57:2. I will cry unto God most high, unto God that performs all things for me. I mean, it's awesome to know that God is interested in me.
I know.
And he's going to perform some things for me, you know. And how he does that is, like we said, through prayer. I mean, nothing's impossible.
Yeah, and when you're struggling, it's good to be part of a church, because when you're struggling through that stuff, you have a lot of people that can pray for you. Yeah. Because I'm not great with prayer still. I'm just getting known to the Bible. But other people that know where I'm at, and you reach out, they can pray for you. There's one person at the church, great prayer warrior. She prays every day. My life changes when prayers are. So.
Yeah. So one last thing on my bookie here that I have to keep adding to. My cheat sheet. I used to say this to my one daughter.
For number 3, right?
Yeah. I was like, okay, go to your cheat sheet. Having a bad day. Philippians 1:6, and this is the one that I think about a lot with you when I think about you. Being confident of this very thing, because there was a couple days I was not very confident when I was looking at you and what was going on. That he that has begun a good work in you.
That's a good one.
You've begun a good work in her, God. You did it.
Keep going.
I'm confident we're able to pull this off.
Yeah.
We'll perform it unto the day of Jesus Christ. So being confident, we can be confident even when there's a lot
that
of
your
things.
Higher powers got it.
Yep. Even when there's a lot of things swirling around us and hitting us, we can be confident. Like you said, you give it to God, but you can be confident that if God started something, he's just not going to let you out there. You know? As long as you keep bringing him into the equation, he's going to continue to move on your behalf and start to bring all those things into balance. I mean, I think it's all about wholeness, balance, and just being well, you know, wellness. And that's what he's really concerned about, that spirit, soul, and body. He wants that to be happening, spirit, soul, and body. And, you know, I'm always more concerned about the people that think they've got it all together than ones that are struggling, because the people that think they've got it all figured out and they've got it all together are really usually self-deceived. Yep. They're in a delusion. And sometimes their fall can be very
I feel very good about my life today, but I know I don't got it all together. There's so much more left to do, and there always will be, I think. Once you stop growing,
because it is growing.
Right. Even people that without addiction, I mean, once you stop, you have to continuously feel like there's something better that you can evolve more and you can be a better person. You know.
Because when we started talking about doing the Celebrate Recovery the last time and we were presenting it, I was like, and you said, well, this is for everybody. This is for people that have dieting issues, food issues, people
grief,
that have worry, grief, whatever it is, you know, self-image issues.
Addiction, alcohol,
you know,
included, all of it.
So I was like, well, yeah, I'm just recovering from life. And so I need to celebrate some things to help me, you know.
Yeah.
But life is like that because, you know, I just recently had my father pass away, and it was very, very hard to see him. You know, I told you the hardest thing was putting the flower on the casket. You know, I was like, oh man, that seems so final at that point. And up until that, you know, and you're processing. But really, life is like that. If you don't keep living, you start dying. Mm-hmm. So you need to.
Oh, that's a good one.
You need to keep living. Yeah. You know. And how do you celebrate the things in your life? Each day you need to celebrate. And
I never thought I could have so much peace. Mm-hmm. I think that's the best thing that's come out of all of this is the inner peace, the liking myself again, but the inner peace. Yeah. I am as so calm and peaceful inside that I never thought I could have this. My bipolar with all the other stuff I got going on, I never have had peace like this. And I was going to say, it's
not like you don't deal with some of those other things.
I still deal with everything that I was dealing with before. Mm-hmm. Like I tell people, the only difference is God. Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, there's nothing else that I've done differently is I hand it over.
Yeah, yeah. So going forward, you keep yourself in supportive situations. Mm-hmm. You make choices about what you're associated with, right? I mean, like, what are your steps that what would you say has helped you to stay in a good spot?
Not to overthink things. Mm-hmm. I think overthinking things are really bad, and I always say your will, not mine. Mm-hmm. Because I think if I can stay on His will, then everything's gonna be okay. Like God's already got it planned out. He knows what He has for the future for me. Yeah. So I just try to hand it over and try to follow His will. I do hear God speak to me in certain ways, but the peace.
Do you find it's helpful to give back? Or to do.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff with the community now. I go to Parks Place and do a lot of things. I try to give back with certain things. I think it's more staying busy because when I was so deep into my addiction, I had no life. I had nothing going on. I avoided people at all costs, and now I enjoy being around people. I'm a social person, so I enjoy being around them again. But it's keeping busy because before I had so much time on my hands that I'm not. Yeah. You got to do something. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go from running the streets to sitting out. You got to do something. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that makes all the difference. I'm actually trying to get work, trying to get a job now. I mean, that's how far full circle this has come. I haven't worked in 15 years. Mm-hmm. I finally got my life together, and I'm ready to be part of the community.
You feel like you're becoming more. And I hate to use
like
this
an
word
adult?
normal.
Yeah, normal. A normie.
Whatever normal is.
A normie.
But, but it's hard to because I've heard my husband even say, when he came out of the addictions, he's like, it's hard to be normal.
It is.
You know, and like for him, normal was quite boring for him. So
yeah. I don't think I could ever be normal. But close to it, I guess. As close as you get.
Yeah. So we have a joke at our house. The reason that I said you get away with murder in my house because I look at you and I say she's a female Matt.
I am.
I see so
it seems
much.
That way.
I see so much. I'm so excited about so much potential in you and so much that you.
It must be nice for you because you've gone through this already. Yeah. You know, you've seen the whole how at the end it works.
Yeah, how it can end.
But it's so sad because now that I get it, I want everybody to get it.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, you just have to follow God, and they're looking at me going, okay, crazy lady, but it really works. Yeah. I'm sitting here today in front of you to tell you it really works. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm healthier than I've been since I was 14 years old. I wish people could all get it. I wish everybody could get recovery.
But then there's that whole thing, like we did the Celebrate Recovery, and we did the interview on TV. And then we had some situations. We lost contact for a little bit, and then you came back in.
I went back out running.
And then the same thing I think happened to you too. Also, even with family, it's like it's such a transition. It's hard. It's hard for the people that are holding on to you. Yeah. And that have walked with you, and then like for the better word, a relapse or whatever, and then seeing you and then walk back in.
Right.
When I got right, Yeah, and
when I got right, they didn't know how to deal with me.
Yeah.
They're used to dealing with the sick Becky.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, but they had to, and my mother,
and you
my
had to give
grandma.
them space for that.
God bless them. Because I did. I had to say, listen, I'm not the same person anymore. Let's try to work this out differently.
Yeah, let's try to start like
they worked
here.
with me. If they didn't work with me, then it never would have happened.
Yeah.
And I used to say my mother's love helped save it. She saved me probably single-handedly with God. You guys.
Yeah.
If people that know me they know how bad I was. They know that it's a miracle to be sitting here alive, and they did do. My poor mother, poor mom. I love you, Mom.
Yeah, so there's that whole dynamic though, and it's like you're saying, you want to put it out there and say, look what happened for me, and I want this for you.
Right, please, you can get it too.
Yeah. And some people are like, okay, like I'm not there, or, yeah. And I don't even know if I want to get it the way you got it.
You guys laugh at me because we're going to town and I'm inviting everybody to church. Come to church, come on, you just need to come to church. And you guys are like, oh boy, there she goes again.
But it is a whole transition.
It is.
It is, and everybody processes but prayer is a very, very important part of it, because you can take that person and you can take them to the very throne room of God without them even knowing it.
Right.
And God will begin to move on them.
Because I'm sure there was many times that you guys had to pray for me that you didn't know where I was or what I was doing, or if I was alive even. I'm sure there was times.
Yeah. And God continues to just kind of stir and move, and there's a lot of spiritual activity that goes on. A lot of times we talk. A lot of times we think about the bad activity, but there's a lot of good activity that goes on in the realm of the spirit. And if we would step up to the plate and initiate some of that spiritual activity in a positive way, we would see some changes in people's lives and in the communities.
Well, I'd hope to see churches like what our church is. When I went there, I knew I was in the right place. That was the right church, because nobody judged me, and they prayed for me, and it could have been those prayers all these years keeping me alive.
Because it's great to celebrate with people. If you're going to judge them and you're going to tell them what they're doing wrong, what they need to do, what they should have done, what you wish they do, everybody's going to get stressed.
Yes.
But if you can just even hand those people over to God and let Him work behind the scenes in a positive way in the realm of the Spirit, how much more freedom you get in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
I think not judging and just embracing people.
That's the word I say, embracing and just celebrate the times that they win.
Right.
But don't get devastated when they lose a little bit.
Right. Be supportive. I think it's hard to not give up hope sometimes. I think it's hard when you love somebody too so much and you want it for them so badly and you just want them to get it. Yeah. I mean, there's many times I've looked back at my poor family and the poor, but you guys. Just sitting there watching what's happening and not being able to stop it. But you can do things behind the scenes. You can pray. You can. I'm sure my family prayed for me plenty.
And speaking that word into you, actually, and like you said, you don't know the Bible, but maybe one day you were sitting there in Tyler and you're like, something came in like Jesus loves me, or I can do this. I mean, you don't know where that came from, but that would be the point that we would call somebody's prayer. Yeah, just speaking it into you, creating that atmosphere for
that was a huge thing with the atmosphere thing, because I remember I was doing good, then I had to go to the retreat to get into that program, and I got bad again. And it was the change in atmosphere. It was, I went from a godly, loving atmosphere with you guys to back into the retreat where maybe I was on Tyler too, some things were not appropriate maybe, and it sucked me back into that negativity. So I think the atmosphere is huge. People, it can't just be, my grandmother's a sober atmosphere. I can go sit there and be fine. It's not that. It's the godly atmosphere. I had plenty of sober places I could have gone. It was the godly atmosphere that kept me growing through it.
Because the one person said to you, I don't understand. Why do you like that place that you're at? And you're like, I don't know. I can't explain it. I just feel peace.
I'm safe there. It is. Yes. And you guys didn't throw a lot at me, but when I would ask, you would give me information and things to, like the words pamphlet. I think and I just gave that to my friend Lee. I gave it to him, and I said, I said, read this because it changed my life.
Yeah.
It really, the words we say to ourselves, I was tearing myself down every day without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And you can't build yourself up if you're tearing yourself down at the same time with your words.
Right.
Anything, watch the words you say because it speaks volumes over your life.
Yeah.
That words pamphlet changed everything for me.
And I think about that with this community because I do know that we don't hide our head in the sand and say, well, we just speak good things. No, I know we have issues, and I know we have addictions, and we have different things. But speak the solution over it,
Right.
And let the situation rise to that.
A lot of people like to focus on the problem.
Yeah.
And you know what? That just keeps people sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Focusing on the problem is not helping anybody.
Yeah.
I hope that the words we use to speak over my life, like I will not say bad things about myself now ever. I could never, and I think, my goodness, with my son, what I did, my granddaughter, I will never let bad words come out of her mouth about herself. It changes who you are, I think. If you start to, even if you don't believe it, even if I had to sit there and every day I look in the mirror and be like, I love you, Becky. I love you, Becky.
I thought of the most high God.
Yes, even if I'm doing it with sarcasm in my voice, eventually it comes around. The words make a difference.
Yeah. Yep, they do. And we are a product of the words that have been spoken over us. And I think a lot of us had that situation. We didn't have a great situation when we were growing up where we had, and not for anybody's fault. It's just the way society is and the way life is. I mean, people get so overwhelmed. I mean, the adults get so overwhelmed in life making the bills and doing this that they don't realize what they're saying over the kids or what the kids are going through, and everybody gets kind of fractured.
Right.
And then all of a sudden everybody's broken, and then it's like, how do we fix it,
Right.
Where if we just start with little steps and then speak that, like you said, speak those words, create the atmosphere, make it healthy, make it
Absolutely.
positive.
Even if you don't believe it. Even if you don't believe it, just keep
Eventually.
saying it. Eventually it does.
Eventually.
And I love myself now more than, like I said, when I was 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what tore me down all those years is I had some bad things happen to me as a child.
Yeah.
And I focused on those things instead of working through them and running from them. I ran from feelings. Like I said, I tell people it's like I'm a newborn child. I'm learning to walk and talk every day because I don't know.
And it makes life a little more, life is life. And it can be humdrum, boring, but it makes it more exciting because and I know it sounds kind of cliche, but people say, well, start your day like it's a gift, and unwrap it.
Right.
Yeah, right, whatever.
Every day I wake up and say, blessed be this day, and
But it is a whole different attitude when you do it.
And I started using the excuse that I don't know the Bible these days. I don't understand the Bible. I still don't understand the Bible.
What Bible did I give you?
Yes,
for
you
Christmas?
did, and I was reading it this morning. But that's not even just the thing. It's it's time frames to learn it, and even if it's the small stuff, I've noticed that I've had to stay on a paragraph for a while, if that's what I have to do.
Yeah. And it's not a big deal. It's not like you have to read through the Bible in 1 year and do all those little charts that I can't even do that.
Right.
I'm like, how many chapters do I have to read in order to get through this in a year?
Well, look, I just finished my first Bible study thing, and it's been a year.
Yeah.
And it's only one book with 70 pages.
Yeah.
Whatever, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's
steps. Yeah.
It is steps. It is steps. And if you guys had wrote me about that and got I might have it pushed me. You guys did the right thing. And now I am more motivated to do the work. But it's time frames are so important. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing I can say is time frames. Like, just don't push somebody into your time frame. Let it be their time frame.
Yeah, that's where that whole expectation goes in. My expectation of you have my permission to say, too much, stop. I'm doing it a little bit slower.
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm just a year later getting into the Bible. I'm just trying to now do the prayers and the Bible readings and stuff.
But God doesn't get all uptight with that. I think people don't approach God because they think that God has this huge, expectation of them. And he's like, no, he's just like, come on in and say hello to me. That's a good start. And so he'll take you, whatever you give him, he'll take it.
And there's little things I'm remembering now, like I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and you got 1 Peter, I just got tattooed on my back.
Yeah. That's one way to remember it.
So I can see it. I changed. I just quit smoking cigarettes. The 31st of this month will be 60 days. So tobacco free, everything. Like, and nobody, I would sit outside church smoking my cigarettes, telling people about how I found God, and people were probably thinking, look at her smoking her cigarette. But I gave it up in my time, and it's all better now. So
Yep. And I love your shirt.
Empowered.
So I'm thinking, based on what you're saying, you're feeling a little empowered.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It is true, though. I mean, we do have the power of our own lives. We're just not.
Yeah.
I think that is an empowered is a huge message because we have a choice with the words we speak, with what we do in our everyday life. So
that's true. So life, like, I don't know. People say, well, life is a journey,
not a destination.
not a destination, but your own.
I know that's what Aerosmith said.
But you actually have something to do with your destiny.
Yes,
you do.
You really do. You really do. Don't give up hope.
No, you've got a part to play in it, and when you pay attention to those little prompts on the inside of you, it helps you.
Could be God speaking to you.
Yeah, and it helps you, and it helps you when it's you and God and not a bunch of people saying.
Yeah, pointing a finger, telling you what it is.
Yeah.
It is.
So.
My hard thing is be still.
Yep, and I love that. Be still.
I'm
and
working
know
on
that I
being
am
still.
God. Yeah.
As you can see.
Yeah. So, and another favorite of mine that I was going to use was Isaiah 46:3-4. It says, and this is God saying, I've cared for you since you were born. Yes, I carried you before you were born. I will be your God throughout your lifetime. Until your hair is white with age, I made you, and I will care for you. I will carry you along and save you. And I love that.
Oh, that's nice.
Because God writes awesome stuff to us in the Bible, but nobody told us it was there or where to find it. So sometimes we're just sitting out there thinking, okay, I guess nobody really cares. You know? Or God, you really messed up when you made me. Everybody's telling me, I'm a real mess up.
Yeah.
And so
I've said that a few times.
So it's
like, what were you thinking?
But it comes back to where we started, that God has a plan and a purpose.
And you just gotta trust it.
And He's got it for each person's life, and He wants to give them hope. And He wants to give them a successful future, something to, an end. It's not, I think the end that the enemy has for us is to kill, steal, and destroy. But John 10:10 said, Jesus said, I've come to give you a life abundant. And you can find that life. And it's not a churchy thing. It's not a religious thing per se. It's something of the innermost part of your heart.
Absolutely.
And when you allow God to speak deeply into your heart and you learn to talk to Him, commune with Him, it just turns things around.
He'll use all our struggles for good things in the future. That's the way I look at it. Is
and
all
that's
the
why
things
I like
I've
that
lived
scar.
through. All the things I've lived through, He's gonna use for my benefit in the future.
Because I had this
or somebody else's benefit.
I had this birthmark, and everybody used to try to make me feel better about it on my forehead, and they say, "Oh, it's a beauty mark." I'm like, "Oh no, it's not." But it's we are marked in the realm of the Spirit, and we have the anointing, and the enemy knows who we are. So why not walk out that mark? Yeah, you might have some scars, but let them be scars that have marked you for the glory of God, and to reflect what He's done, and to celebrate what He's still doing, because He's not done.
Oh no, you're definitely not done with me.
Yeah,
I got lots left to do.
And there's an old song I used to like. Is He's still working on me. It took Him just to make the moon and the stars, 7 days where He made moon and stars, Jupiter and Mars. How loving and patient He must be. He's still working on me. I love that song. He never gives up on us. Yeah. And another one that I like is Ephesians. It says that we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. We are His prize art piece, His masterpiece.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. And every time He looks at us, He sees a little bit of Himself, and it's just like, it's family. If we're born of God and He's our very own Father, then we're family.
Right.
And He sees something of Himself in us. And so when we start to do that with each other and see each other in the realm of the Spirit a different way, it's more.
Oh, I'm so much kinder to people than I've ever been. And it's because I'm in the inside of me, because I'm at peace with myself now. Mm-hmm. I used to go through town beating up everybody, fighting everybody. I had court records like this high. Yeah. I have such peace inside. I would not want to hurt anybody ever again. Like, it's not, it's changed. You change, you get a peace.
Yeah. So, You got one last opportunity. You got anything you want to say to your
No,
crowd?
I guess not. You can do this.
So yeah, so
Oh no, come on.
there you
So
go.
sorry,
They
that's what I had
heard
to
you.
say.
They
Oh.
heard you. They said, yeah, talk to us.
That's my alarm. Just again.
All right, so we want to thank you for tuning in, and we do want to encourage you that the Bible does have something to say. God does have something to say about you and about your life, and even about the struggles. He's not really uptight about those struggles, but he's there.
No,
he's
not
there
as much as we think.
Yeah, he's there to walk with you through it and to help you celebrate the things in your life. And his expectation is so simple. He just says, come on into my presence and say hello and let me be a part of your equation. And I can help you bring things into balance. I can help you.
So much.
And sometimes we just don't like it, but we need help.
Mm.
And I'd rather
So
get
often we need help.
I'd rather get my help from God than people, honestly.
I would too.
So,
I mean, y'all are great. You've been great helping me, but God is gentle.
He's gentle. He doesn't mouth my stuff all over the place.
That's right. Don't
It's
tell everybody our
personal
business.
And,
bless
he
you.
just helps me adjust. So yeah, and so we thank you for listening to us, and we thank you that we ask you to tune in, and there's different graphics out to look at, see when you can tune into the shows.
Come see us at Living Hope
And
Fellowship.
we have named the church Living Hope Fellowship because we do have hope for you. And so we invite you out every Sunday, 10 a.m. We have Bible study on Thursdays at 6 p.m. And check out the website, wordworksforyou.org, and we speak a blessing in your life. Thanks.
Praise Jesus, amen.